What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
Welcome to another Tuesday night here on Dynasty Points. We are happy to be with everybody, everyone in the chat already. Look, training camp is starting. It is here. We have reached it. And with that, there's just always a couple of things to remember. First off, every rookie is awesome. All your biases are confirmed. You definitely know everything. Your clip farming will indeed make or break your leagues. And the quote, "I hope you listened" quotes will for sure gain you a mass following in this game. But most importantly, Anthony Richardson still sucks. We're covering all that and more.
Hey. Chris Ballard refuses to flush Anthony Richardson. It's the headline.
Yeah, and we refuse to start on time. So all this and more with Dynasty Points this week. I first off just want to mention that Pappuccino. Okay, you asked if we were okay. Yes, I saw best ball in the title because I write the titles. I was fully on board with this program combining best ball and Dynasty. New year, new me, as we try to navigate this gnarly thing called the off season here at the end of July in Dynasty. No Lucas tonight, under the weather. He tapped out for the evening. We have Ryan Heath with us as always, and Jacob Sanderson tuning in. Everyone in the chat is lively, hopping regular time this week. I didn't have to read a clock. This was a very, very good thing for me. Made my workload much easier this week. Very thankful for that. But of course, before we dive into the real content of the week, we must kick the show off with the Dynasty Points comment review. And might I say, this week we had some good ones. Most definitely. We had at Walter Burden 7325 said, "Sad to see the direction of this show is headed. Getting sucked into the cesspool that is mainstream media. At least AJ Hawk is here to provide a clear-eyed dissenting
Not anymore.
opinion."
We got rid of him.
That's right. We sent him the way of Colbert. Gone. For
Nice.
Having that kind of opinion.
Wow. A pop
You like-
culture reference from
You like
Tom.
that one?
Yeah,
I know.
look at that.
I'm fired up tonight.
That was quick.
Holy smokes.
Fired up tonight. We have at
Tom knows what's going on with Stephen Colbert. Plus 2,500.
at past_investigator. You guys talked about beat reporter objectivity, not knowing that we are the paragons of objectivity, after spewing some bullshit about Jennings just being the favorite son instead of some actual insight to his role on the offense. Like we haven't discussed it every podcast this offseason. And I'm sorry, but if you don't know that Shanahan picks favorites for periods of time, you don't watch the 49ers play football. That's just how it is. But on the other side of that debate, gentlemen, we had Charlie C 5449. The numbers on the names just really make them unique, you know? Is the ink on Jennings' contract even dry yet? He's had one good year, for crying out loud. Let him sit. He will come to his senses, or just trade him for all I care. But Ryan, we found out today via press conferences that all this is kind of overstated. Jennings is what Jennings was always going to be for us, which is an awesome click in all formats.
Yeah, I mean, we found out today exactly what the original report was, which was that he was going to report to camp, but that he wanted to get paid. And today he reported to camp. So I am happy to report that he did, in fact, do the thing he initially said he would do, and people feel better about it now for some reason. This is a big nothing burger. Move along, folks.
We talked about it today on ADP chasing. I thought Karain had the best possible summary, which is he just said that Juwan Jennings filled out a form that says, "Please sign here if you are mad." And then he signed the form to register that he was indeed mad. And then he went to work. That he's mad.
Revolt says objectivity is just the illusion of the overconfident. That's some philosophical stuff that I'll believe you on that one, brother. We're right there with you. But as is generally the case with Dynasty Points, we had more news. Now, we briefly did touch on this on the Dynasty Points market report. with Andy and I and like the initial things to watch for and how reactive the Dynasty community is, because boy, do we ever overreact. When the Jordan Addison news came, and keep in mind, we knew it was coming, we were searching through Twitter doing what we do, and we're seeing people posting under news outlets issues. Do I need to trade Addison in Dynasty? Do I need to get this guy off of my team? When do you think the suspension is coming? I need to know what to do with him. And this is why we talk about this stuff. People listening will send me a DM or leave a comment in the podcast feed or something like, you guys are talking about stuff that not everybody already knows this. So if you already know all of this, then that's not for you. This isn't for you. This is for everyone that hasn't already mastered this art. See the intro when I said you know everything already. Just keep that in mind while we're talking. Let the people that don't know yet hash it out live. So let's talk about the legal fallout, Mr. Lawyer. Let's start with Rashee Rice, because that seemingly came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No idea.
That was a surprising one. For people that were following this, there was a report about a court date in January. That was never a real thing. That was his civil trial, which his civil trial has no effect on the league's discipline policies. But the reason why nobody knew when the criminal date was there was no criminal date. There was never a trial date set. There was no hearing date set. What happened is what can happen in criminal matters, which is they work collectively with the prosecution to arrange a plea agreement that's agreeable to both sides. They bring that to a judge, and the judge will generally sentence in accordance with the recommendations of the plea agreement by the prosecutor. In this case, it's a deferral agreement, and that means that he's pleading guilty to something that would otherwise be a felony, but subject to terms and conditions of the agreement, he will not be a felon once those terms and conditions are completed. In this case, that means 5 years probation and a 30-day jail sentence to be served at any time within those 5 years. So very surprising. Probably more impactful in seasonal leagues. Well, not probably. Way more impactful in seasonal leagues than dynasty leagues. But I don't think it is non-impactful in dynasty leagues. To me, we have the situation where Rice and Worthy have played very, very little together. We saw Rice have a very successful rookie year, obviously before Worthy was on the team. When Rice was going absolutely crazy to start last year, it was Worthy's first 3 games in the NFL. He then continued to struggle for a while thereafter, but got pretty hot down the stretch and into the playoffs. And so we've never seen the peak version of Worthy and the peak version of Rice on the same football field together. They're interesting players in that they don't look anything alike in terms of their build, but they do have some serious overlap. We saw that when Worthy was at his best last year was when he started to get schemed up a lot of short area targets. They're different kinds than what Rice gets. They're a little bit more perimeter oriented. They're more screens. Rice's is more of those quick over the middle slants and drag routes, but it's still a similar type of target tree. And whoever is the guy that ends up getting the bulk of those, that might be the better bet to pay off their cost. And you look at it this year, I think it's fair to have concerns that if Worthy comes in and reasserts himself as the guy in this offense, and then Rice has to join not just after an offseason, but mid-season, and the offense is being successful running through Worthy, like I don't know what they would go out of their way to accommodate Rashee Rice at that point. So even though I thought that Rice was the clear better option prior to the suspension news, even though I thought he was always going to get suspended at some point, I think the sequencing matters a lot, because if Rice had just absolutely alphaed Worthy this year, and then he was going to miss 4 games at the start of next year, I don't really care. I feel like he's already established himself in the pecking order by that point. I care more now. I will just say, though, lastly, I think that all this really means is that Worthy gets to control more of his own destiny. It could also go the other way. Maybe the Chiefs look like they've looked the last couple of years, which is to say pretty shitty at offense in that first month while Rashee Rice is away. And in that case, it's no longer Rashee Rice will fit you in on this moving train however we can. It's Rashee Rice, please save our offense. And in that case, maybe it even works out to his benefit. So we'll see how it goes. But I moved Worthy up a tier. I moved Rice down a tier based on the sequencing.
Yeah, I'm going to mostly agree with Jacob here. And yeah, that was going to be kind of my biggest point, is that anytime we've seen this Chiefs offense without Rashee Rice, it hasn't looked great. Like it was slightly more functional in terms of getting worthy fantasy points at the end of last year with scheme production. But I mean, a lot of guys can score fantasy points on scheme production. So yeah, to me, it doesn't make me believe in Worthy anymore, really. So yes, I have also moved Rice down. He's kind of back down where he started the offseason, like around like the T Higgins kind of range for me in Dynasty. But overall, I would expect to look up 4 weeks from now or 4 weeks from the start of the season and it be like, okay, yeah, the Chiefs really need him back and this is going to work out again.
Yeah, also could mean Kelsey gets more life. I mean, that's something that people aren't talking about as much. Remember, Kelsey's everything went up when Rice went out.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey in Rice's full games over like a 50% route share, I think averages only 7 fantasy points per game. That's the stat is something like that. It's really terrible since Rice's rookie season. But yeah, so it's a boost to him for whatever the 4 to 8 games that Rice is going to miss. But so I guess it's a little bit relevant in seasonal or in Dynasty if you're trying to cobble tight end together at cheap prices. But yeah, it's nothing that super changes my outlook on the offense long term.
Oh, I should add too that I didn't get to. 5 years probation is basically the entirety of his prime. And let's just be honest, Rashee Rice, not a reliable decision maker off the field. So
no,
I have concerns that, you know, at any time, if you violate the terms of your probation, and I don't know exactly what those terms are, that might be private, but you know, any sort of violation of those terms, which I assume probably includes some degree of you have to do X amount of community service, you might have to stay away from X and Y person, you might have to stay away from X and Y substances, maybe not drive vehicles for a certain amount of time.
You get to drive a Corolla only, no more supercars.
Yeah,
you
whatever
get
those
2008 Corolla. That's it.
Whatever those terms are, if he violates them, now we're talking about not complying with the terms and conditions of a deferral agreement, of a felony charge, and we're talking about a pretty significant breach that could involve somewhat serious jail time. So I think that is like going to be an ongoing risk in perpetuity now for Rashee Rice in Dynasty. We are basically at any time in the next 5 years, if he does something stupid, you're dealing with potential serious legal jeopardy, potentially another suspension. So it's something to monitor. I think basically he should always be like 1 tier lower than his talent would indicate in Dynasty, just based on that risk factor for the next 5 years, which is basically as long as he's a big Dynasty asset.
Well, while we're at it, let's talk about Addison, because this feels a little bit less impactful, but you nailed this last week. I mean, we're already seeing slip starting, and as I mentioned at the top, panic. Let's talk Addison.
Ryan thought it was baked in. It was not baked in. Nothing's ever been baked in the history of best ball.
Yeah, fell forward again award.
Fell forward again award. Here you go. Fell forward again award. It's incredible the degree to which, like, I think part of it is that we're so used to things not being baked in that even the people who were like, yeah, I'm happy to click him in the early 6th on Underdog with the 3-game suspension. Once it comes down, like, we all think that other people are going to start dropping him. So we don't want to draft him now. We'd rather wait for later. And then it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know how long he's going to drop in best ball. It's very funny to me. I do agree he was at a fine click before. He'll probably just get better and better. Yeah, we'll see what happens. He's going to probably get suspended. It's probably going to be 3 games. Maybe they use their discretion to reduce it to 1 or 2. I don't think this matters to me in Dynasty at all in the same way that the Rashee Rice one does, just because his role seems very defined. He's not better than Justin Jefferson. He's not going to be better than Justin Jefferson. He's very clearly better than Jalen Naylor and Ty Felton. The role is going to be waiting for him when he returns. I think things are just pretty set in Minnesota, and he's going to be what he's going to be.
Yeah, but again, I've seen the panic firsthand going out and looking. Go put offers out. And if you ever wanted to acquire them, start asking.
Of course.
right?
It's so fun. I mean, he was always going to get suspended at this time last year.
Mhm.
Everything that he did that people liked or didn't like from last year, all that happened after he had already done the bad thing, right? So it's not like the team is going to be more mad at him today than they were a year ago. There's truly no impact on this situation at all for Addison. And it's, I think it's a big difference. Like the Rice-Worthy thing, it's kind of uncertain. We've been arguing about it all year of how that wide receiver room is going to break down. This Minnesota one couldn't be more set. Unless Ty Felton comes out and is like a complete superstar and alphas Jordan Addison in the first 3 games of his rookie season, which I think is very unlikely, then I just don't think it matters at all. His 20% target share will be waiting for him upon his return.
Yeah. I'm not moving him in my rankings in either format. I agree with pretty much everything that's been said.
Yeah, just some classic overreaction stuff. It's not legal fallout, but should we talk about the Naji Harris? We don't know if and or when he's coming back.
This is another Ryan Heath fell for it again, because Ryan Heath believed what the agent said, which was just a clear blunder. I feel okay about it. I've still been getting Omarion Hampton. I feel like I'm still kind of above the curve of where people have been drafting him the last week and a half or so. But yeah, man, it's just everyone lies. Just assume everyone's lying is what I've learned from this.
Everybody lies. I mean, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need hearings. I'm willing to grant Ghislaine Maxwell immunity if she can testify as to the status of Naji Harris's eye.
We're gonna need a special counsel appointed.
I think it's weird that our president ran on finding out what was happening to Naji Harris's eye, and now all of a sudden they don't want to release the files. I mean, nobody even knows. Nobody knows where this guy is. They can't show me pictures. They're telling me that all the credible information suggests he's at camp, but why won't he be made available to the media? And I just don't know why I'm being gaslit by the mainstream media that Naji Harris has 2 eyes, when my eyes can see that that's clearly not the case, that there's more to this story. So I think Naji Harris's dynasty value is what it is. Hampton's value is what it is. But the value of the mainstream media is declining, and that is an irrecoverable decline for their gross ignorance in failing to report this story to the people, and we demand answers.
Everybody go subscribe to Jacob's Substack, Thinking About Thinking, where he will find the truth and report it to you with his independent journalism.
Yeah, I'm partnering with Matt Taibbi, and we're going to get to the bottom of
it. All right, clip it, ship it.
Good job. That's why
everybody.
Walter Burden was saddened by the direction of this program, and its downward spiral to mainstream media. Where's AJ Hawk when you need him? That being said, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Dynasty versus Best Ball ADP and see where we can get an advantage and some stuff that's sticking out to us. Sit tight. You're not going to want to miss it. Okay, Jacob, I've granted you the possibility of talking best ball ADP on this program. Woo! Explain to people how you can benefit by paying attention to a redraft formatted ADP and where the discrepancies lie.
All right. So this used to be a thing we used to do a lot of in the Bulletproof Discord, is we would go through and try to find kind of the arbitrage plays, the guys where, in theory, and as we'll talk to, this is not always going to be the case, but in theory, if you factor for this season projection and age, that should give you a pretty good idea of where a player's dynasty value should be. And so it's always interesting to note the specific cases that have disproportionately high or disproportionately low seasonal ADPs when you compare to their dynasty ADP. So we're using underdog rankings. If you want to yell at me and say, but it's a best ball format. Some of your dynasty leagues are best ball formats. And for others, it's still, I think, instructive because it's where the people are putting down the most cheddar right now in their drafts. We're looking at this mostly from a positional perspective, obviously, because underdog is, of course, about Superflex. But we're going to go through some of the players that have some of the most odd discrepancies where they're valued disproportionately highly or low in Dynasty versus Best Ball. And we're going to discuss whether we think, both markets have it right. There should be this big gap, or whether we think, the seasonal ADP has it right, or the Dynasty ADP has it right, and whether that makes them a buy or a sell. We have a bunch on this list. I don't think we're going to get through all of them. So maybe we just take turns nominating people that we think are interesting to talk about. But let's go right off the top. The one that stuck out to me is the quarterback discrepancy. There are two guys right now, Jordan Love and Justin Herbert. They are sitting at QB8 and QB12 respectively in Dynasty. Quarterbacks in their mid to late 20s. But they're QB17 and QB18 right now on Underdog. They both go behind quarterbacks such as Jared Goff, who is a couple years older than them, Baker Mayfield, who's I think just 1 year older than them, maybe two older than Herbert, and Brock Purdy, who of course is younger than both of them, I believe. And those guys all go between a round and a half to 2 rounds behind Herbert and Jordan Love in Dynasty. Does this make you think that Love and Herbert are strong values from a seasonal perspective, terrible values from a Dynasty perspective, both, or does this discrepancy make sense to you guys?
So to me, what I think the market is saying here is in Dynasty and Superflex especially, people really value quarterbacks that read to them as stable. And the most stable quarterbacks are very often going to be the ones that we perceive as the most talented in real life. Those are probably the ones that are going to stick around the longest, maybe regardless of what their fantasy scoring situation is in a given season, especially for kind of these like closer to pocket passer guys, right? But what this really says to me, I think that probably both markets are a little bit off. I really think the correct point is somewhere in the middle here. A guy being as good as Jordan Love, as good as Justin Herbert, that gives them a higher chance as a pocket passer to hit on one of those high touchdown rate seasons where you can actually make a difference in fantasy football as a pocket passer. That's an awesome bet to make on Underdog or in seasonal leagues where the cost is so much lower. In Dynasty, I just don't really enjoy paying for that perceived safety as much. So I have a lot of these guys, especially Jordan Love, in seasonal formats in best ball. Not a whole lot of them in Dynasty, just with how I like to build my teams and with what I see as, similar production, at least in the near term, that is available later. So that's kind of how I would look at this. Is I think the correct answer is somewhere in the middle, but I kind of get why each market is doing what it does.
Yeah, man, it really just, to me, comes down to people caring about safety, right? In Dynasty, there's no such thing at safety at quarterback. It exists for like 4 guys, maybe 5 on a given year. And it can change like rapidly. Look at Baker Mayfield, just had like his insane career season. He's still kind of like a fade click in Dynasty, right? Age plus for sure touchdown regression, and he's not even a safe pick at this point. So that's what it shows to me. So I'm with you guys on that. Just a little bit too safe in Dynasty with the options on the board, but I think people have it right in best ball on this one, and I don't think it's very reflective in the two. It's not very telling to me. In terms of like, oh, is this something to show like people believe they're going to finish X? No, it's just, again, Dynasty overvalues that quarterback position. Something I've been saying for literally since this podcast started 5-6 years ago. So just kind of confirming that for me personally. What do we got next?
Well, I hadn't spoken on this one yet. I can understand why this is happening. Like, I get what you're saying about the perceived safety. I just don't think that it is. I don't think there's an actually meaningful safety difference. Like, barring a catastrophic injury, I feel 100% sure that all 5 of the quarterbacks we just discussed are starting in 2026. And I'm like 95% sure that all 5 of them are starting in 2027. I don't think any of these guys are any sort of short-term risk to seeing their jobs disappear. I think there's a perception that the other guys are because there's a perception they're better real-life quarterbacks. That being said, go for it.
I was just going to say, I don't view safety in that regard, right? There's safety. Okay, you draft someone at QB 12, right? Jordan Love. If Jordan Love goes out there again and has another year where they hammer the ball in the end zone, on the ground more often, he doesn't hit the touchdown efficiency. Like, we know what pylon type quarterbacks need to, if he goes out there again and doesn't have that like back half of his year one as a starter again, that QB 12 is not going to be there because people lose patience with these guys quickly. So I'm saying more safety in terms of their value return more than their job potential. It's just not that steep of a cliff to be Trevor Lawrence, right, down to Derek Carr, right? If Lawrence goes out there again and does it again where he's just way more left on the table, he can just quickly just be Derek Carr forever. So that's what I mean more by safety in Dynasty for quarterbacks more than it is they're starting. Of course, they're going to start whatever. It's very hard for them not to really, but it's not like a Sam Darnold situation. But the perceived safety of their values, to me, is what is fraudulent.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that my answer on Herbert. I think Herbert's just like really underpriced in best ball. I'm actually fine with Herbert's price in Dynasty. I don't think it's like a great value, but I'm not avoiding him. Love, I'm not as high on in Dynasty. Yeah. I think his best ball price is probably closer to correct, although I do prefer him to Goff and Baker. But but Herbert, I think people have just kind of forgotten how good he is in best ball. And this is the second straight year of this now where his Dynasty ADP has continued to be very high, despite a very low best ball ADP. He was a hit last year, down the stretch at least. I think he probably would have had a higher ADP coming into this year if he didn't get hurt early, because he was not scoring any points at all very early in the season when he was playing hurt, was leaving games partway through. They were running the ball a ton. And their only weapon really at all in the passing game was a second-round rookie. Now going into year 2 with Ladd McConkey, Herbert being completely healthy, not having the plantar fasciitis, like, to me, there's no real reason why he shouldn't be towards at least the top of that big group of quarterbacks. Like, I think he would be better served being closer to Knicks and Kyler and Fields to me than where he's currently going, which is at the very back end of that tier. I think he's like, I think my second most drafted or most drafted quarterback in best ball this year, and I'm fine with him there. Love, I agree. I think he is probably overvalued in Dynasty, properly valued in seasonal leagues.
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. D-Walk, you missed one break so far, so unfortunately you missed your favorite part of the show. Don't worry, we're gonna have another one shortly. But let's talk about the next player here. Let's talk about J.J. McCarthy. You have here, apparently he is a QB 18 in Dynasty. Never see him go that low.
Yeah, haven't seen that one.
That's a fake ADP if I've ever seen a fake-ass ADP. He never goes that low. But let's talk about him. Let's go, Jacob. What do you got?
I actually think this would make sense. I think it makes sense that J.J. McCarthy goes higher in best ball than he does in Dynasty. I know that's very weird when we're talking about a quarterback that has not played at all, that is going into his season. But I think with him, he is in this beautiful situation that everybody kind of agrees, like the 101 nut situation for fantasy football. So to me, that works both ways. If he goes out there and he has a good season this year, he's a good quarterback. I think it's going to be very hard for him to not score fantasy. I think his redraft seasonal value reflects that. I don't expect him to play poorly this year, and I think it almost doesn't matter how well he plays given that environment. But because a lot of people feel that way, if he does just straight up suck this year, his value will go off a cliff. Because everybody just watched this situation with Sam Darnold, who everybody had completely written off as a quarterback. So I kind of agree that there's a little bit more risk to his Dynasty price than to his seasonal price, because there will be no excuse making for J.J. McCarthy in the way there is for almost every other rookie or second-year quarterback in the dynasty market at large. No one can really sit back and say, well, if they got him better weapons, if they got him a better scheme, if they got him a better O-line, if they got him a better play caller, he has everything. So if you succeed with everything, good for you. You're going to move up a round or two. If you fail with everything, you suck, brother. And so I think it is totally fair, actually, that his dynasty price reflects a little bit of that risk, as well as, of course, the optimism. And it's his seasonal price, even for a rookie, that reflects more of just the optimism, because ultimately that long-term risk matters.
Yeah, it is very, I guess, unusual that we have such a proven window into exactly how good a quarterback situation is as we do with JJ McCarthy. Not to just do the JJ McCarthy blurb again, but we've seen so many quarterbacks just in and out of this chair with Kevin O'Connell, and they all put up fantasy points. That Jacob is probably right. On the what I would consider a very slim chance that McCarthy doesn't, I am going to change my opinion on him pretty fast if he can't produce in this situation, because what else could happen for him to be more productive or for him to gain dynasty value if it's not this and what the Vikings have set up. So I came into this kind of ready to be like, oh, that's just kind of a weird little oddity, but who cares? I'm drafting him at both ADPs a ton anyway. But now that Jacob explains that, I think I agree. It does make sense that despite him being so young and projecting so well, he's going a little bit later in dynasty.
And to be clear, I'm also drafting with both of those ADPs. It's just that I think it makes sense that they're both situated the way they are.
Yeah, I think it's the fear of not knowing, right? But I mean, we had a little projections conversation not that long ago, and we're projecting him at the site pretty low in terms of what they would need to do for regression and everything like that in Minnesota. If he fails, you're right. He's just the worst quarterback in the NFL at that point, because, man, some of the names that have balled out in that offense, if you're terrible, brother, you're right. It will nosedive. But I just never see him go at QB 18. It's usually me that likes him more than that price, to be honest with you. But somebody in every draft usually does. So that, to me, is one of those fake ADPs. And I'll have to take your word for it on the best ball thing, because I haven't done one, nor will I, this entire offseason.
It is very interesting. He goes ahead of CJ Stroud, for instance, too. He goes ahead of
I do that.
Jordan Love, who we just talked about. He goes ahead of Justin Herbert, which I don't agree with, but
I wouldn't do that.
Happens. So it is very interesting to me how much optimism there is for. It's like a scaled down version of Trey Lance almost, where everybody is. It kind of is, right? It's the same thing. He didn't play at all as a rookie. He's in this perfect situation, and everybody's very optimistic. The difference is it's round 7 in best ball and round 1 in dynasty versus round 4 and round 10 or whatever. But that's kind of what it reminds me of a little bit.
Right.
Hopefully it goes better.
Well, D-Walk is asking about a running back, and we are going to talk running backs on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. The fact that you have a co-host who refuses to play best ball, hilarious. You're right, because I am
refuses to get dental surgery.
I am look. We're not hashing that out live on air. It is a small chip of the tooth that I can just rip out. I don't need to go and see a dentist about it. Okay. I'm not, I won't use the same words I used before we hit live, but I'm not a coward. I can deal with it. And I don't play best ball because I play Dynasty. This is at the top of the screen. It says Dynasty Points. And if I ever need to know anything about best ball, I have 2 absolute best ball degenerates that I talk to every single week for hours. So if I ever need any information, I don't even have to do drafts. I can just live vicariously through them. It would be disingenuous for me to say that I have a best ball opinion as I wouldn't even call myself an analyst, but a dynasty content creator, I suppose, and player, it would be disingenuous for me to be like, yeah, I have a strong opinion about best ball, when I'd just be lying through my teeth. And I'd rather just be honest about it. Just like I'm honest about not needing to go to the dentist. Okay. I can take care of that. But let's talk about running backs, not the shard of tooth that's broken in my face right now. Let's talk about a running back last year that on this show we just talked trash about nonstop. We got Josh Jacobs here next on the docket. Ryan, I'll pass it over to you. I'm looking at the show sheet. 27-year-old RB going RB as RB10 in best ball, only 3 spots later in Dynasty with the running back resurgence. What do you make of Josh Jacobs so far in 2025?
Yeah, so I'll start this off by saying I don't super love either of these ADPs, but just looking at them, I can only conclude that the best ball ADP is probably a bit more efficient. And to me, this is, look, we just saw every single running back that was past the age apex last year stay healthy the entire season and maintain their entire workload and score a ton of fantasy points. And that has been like the incorrect bet to make at large for 9 out of the past 10 seasons, essentially. It hit last year because we happen to have all of these incredibly talented running backs that are past the age apex in the league right now. It's the same group of running backs that's been doing crazy stuff since they all came into the league in 2017. I would consider Jacobs like a notch below all of those guys, just in terms of pure talent personally. So to me, I think there is a little bit of optimism, that age optimism that's left over from that has influenced and crept into his dynasty ADP. I think he's okay as the RB10 in best ball. I will occasionally click him if I really need to make a build work or something, and I get sniped on Chase Brown, who I actually want to draft around that area. But yeah, to me, RB13 in dynasty, I would rather either in dynasty go for the extremes, go for the Christian McCaffrey, go for the Derrick Henry, who's a bit cheaper, or just take cheapest running back available that is like at the end of that kind of giant running back tier, as opposed to Jacobs, who's kind of closer to the start of it. So yeah, I think the best ball ADP is more efficient, and I think dynasty managers are a little bit asleep at the wheel with an RB13 ADP for Jacobs.
Yeah,
I don't have much to add. I'm pretty much in agreement with what Ryan said. I like him a little bit more in best ball than dynasty. I would like him more in best ball if we weren't so anti-running back overall. Like, to me, there's just several running backs in 5 and 6 that are really underpriced. If we drag them up a little bit, I would be much more inclined to draft Jacobs at the 2-3 turn. But because I think Jacobs is kind of fancy James Conner, but I can just get actual James Conner 4 rounds later, I'm far more inclined to do that and then take a much better wide receiver where Jacobs goes. But I agree. Dynasty, I haven't been drawn to him in startups or anything this year.
Josh Jacobs is the type of player in Dynasty, if people are projecting him to score like this in season long, that you're going to be very happy that you can get him for a 2 and a 3 off somebody whose team is falling apart. Right? So Josh Jacobs is a no draft type player for me, but is a definitely go buy player for me. By week 2 or 3, when maybe Jordan Love goes out there and dials up a couple of touchdowns to Romeo Doubs just to make everybody angry, people are going to go, it's all Jordan Love. It's going to drop the price of somebody like Jacobs. He's definitely a acquire in dynasty, and I wouldn't draft either, if I'm being honest with you. But you'll definitely be able to acquire him, I do believe, pretty easily. Let's move on to another running back, someone that we've talked about kind of at length on this program. There has been some, I want to say, differing opinions on his work usage. There's obviously that part of the fantasy community where it is, Jahmyr Gibbs only. He's just going to be like the 80% touch guy. He's scoring 23 points per game, not shutting it down. And then there's the other side, which I think is the correct side. And I will let you guys talk me one way or the other if you disagree. It's probably going to end up being more of a 60-40 split. I think at best a 65-35 because David Montgomery is not falling off the face of the planet. They're going to use him. They love him. I know it's very hard to like put that production back in the bag, if you would, but I don't think David Montgomery is going anywhere. But the dynasty and redraft ADPs are kind of back to back, so they're in agreement with one another. RB25 in seasonal best ball and RB24 in dynasty, which feels high.
This makes no fucking sense. This is the one that made my brain pop out of my skull. I don't care what you think about David Montgomery in either direction. There's just zero world in which these two ADPs make literally any sense. David Montgomery is 28 years old, and he just signed an extension in Detroit. That means he will be on the Detroit Lions next to, in my opinion, the best running back in the National Football League for basically the entirety of the time in the NFL that he is still good, until such time that he's no longer good, in which he's probably released by Detroit and his meaningful fantasy career is probably over. How is that player valued more in Dynasty than in seasonal leagues? It makes no sense. In Dynasty, he's like, to me, a very obvious avoid at that cost when you can take much more intriguing value bets much later. And seeing this makes me much more interested in getting exposure in seasonal leagues, where he is really an interesting play. He was the RB13 last year in half PPR points per game. And yes, they had like an unsustainable amount of total running back production on that team. But he was, I think, only a point or two per game above expected. Compared to Gibbs, he was like 6 because he's a G. And you look at his situation, he got hurt. So Gibbs has a portion of the season without him. But Gibbs never got hurt last year. And as much as we love to think about Jahmyr Gibbs turning into Ladini and Tomlinson, if David Montgomery ever got out of the way, there's no question that if Jahmyr Gibbs was to get hurt for a sustained period of time, David Montgomery is projecting as a top 10 running back every week that Jahmyr Gibbs is out. So to me, in seasonal leagues, you're kind of just getting him where he projects at base. And yeah, there's some risk that Gibbs takes over the whole backfield this year. But you're also buying, I think, basically for free, the upside of Jahmyr Gibbs gets hurt and David Montgomery becomes like a round 2 value. I mean, he would just be Josh Jacobs, who's going in like the 2nd round, but you're getting him in the 7th. So I think he's a totally fine to maybe even good pick in best ball. I'm probably going to be taking more of him, especially now that our guy Quinshon Judkins is no longer in the picture at that 6-7 turn. The dynasty price, I'm sorry, it's inexcusable. I don't know what we're doing taking a 28-year-old guy who's not being drafted in the top 24 seasonal picks as the RB24, apparently right next to like Luther Burden and Ricky Pearsall and Jaden Higgins. It's an egregious dynasty price.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
I just want to say I don't love either price, really. The dynasty one is very obviously more wrong to me. For me in best ball, if I like still need an RB2 when we're at David Montgomery, I know I've fucked up my build pretty much. I'm kind of building around like not needing to take the David Montgomery plunge. I'll admit he's a better pick probably than like a Brian Robinson that goes near him because as Jacob is saying, like you have that upside of he could project as a top 5 running back in weeks 15 to 17 if Gibbs gets hurt. That isn't happening really in any world for Brian Robinson or similar running backs around him. So I will give you that at least. But yeah, to me, it's a player that's, I don't think for us at fantasy points, he projects anywhere close to the RB25 this year. I'm just not in on either ADP, but yeah, the dynasty one is obviously way dumber.
Another fake one. I don't see him go at that price. Absolutely not. So
I don't know. I don't ever see him go. I just one day I look at my queue. He's not there anymore.
Why is he in your queue?
Yeah, why is he in the queue?
No, he's not on my queue. It's just, I mean, like I
Oh.
look to go. I mean, like I get to the point of the draft where I want to do running backs, and then I look through the running backs, and I'm like, add to queue, add to. Oh, David Montgomery went 2 rounds ago. Interesting.
Yeah, that's
He's fine in best ball though. I'll probably be like, I'll probably be a nice 8%. All right. There's one other running back. Oh,
I was just gonna say he's just another guy I'm gonna buy at like week 6 in Dynasty for like a third and some fake wide receiver somebody likes. Like whoever Dontavian Wicks is next year, maybe even Dontavian Wicks, whichever Packers wide receiver Ryan hypes up next year that can't put it all together.
Savion Williams.
Yeah, that is.
You will not catch me dead
Montgomery.
hyping Savion Williams. That will not happen. I'll go on record right now. If I am ever hyping Savion Williams, I have lost something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I'm
This
feeding
is going to be a
Monty.
really fast one because we got, I think, more interesting guys to talk about. You know what? No, I'm going to skip Travis Etienne unless anyone really cares. It's like the same thing. as Montgomery.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's worth saying that he's just another type player that, again, don't draft, acquire when something changes.
All right, here's one really interesting running back situation that I think is worth talking about. Then we can get to wide receivers. RJ Harvey currently he is sliding, but it's been a while now since J.K. Dobbins has signed, so I think it's fair to say he is still going ahead of Trevion Henderson in best ball, and in fact, it goes directly all in a line. Harvey, Henderson, then Caleb Johnson, 3 consecutive rookie running backs in the 6th round in best ball. In Dynasty, Caleb Johnson actually goes 1 spot ahead of RJ Harvey. And Trevion Henderson goes like 10 spots ahead of both of them. So a huge difference. And I find this interesting because I think that they all not only, I think that they all kind of have a similar situation. If you look at the backs that they're paired with, Jalen Warren actually goes the highest out of these backs in seasonal leagues by a lot. He goes the 8-9 turn. And then J.K. Dobbins. And then Ramondre Stevenson goes latest, even though Trevion Henderson is the one who is most priced down in best ball relative to Dynasty. So I probably said that in the most confusing way possible. But what do you guys think of this one? I know how I feel about this, but I'm curious how you guys think about this one.
So to me, I think the order is weird. I will give you that. I think what probably best explains it is the Dynasty community, I would say, is a little more tethered to the pre-draft evaluations than the best ball ADP is going to be. It's a lot of like very different. The overlap between Dynasty and best ball is probably not as large as we imagine in terms of people that are playing both formats a lot, like you and I, Jacob. There's a lot of people that are very into the college prospecting stuff that play Dynasty. A lot of them probably don't play at least that much best ball. And there are certainly a lot of people that play a ton of best ball that have
There are literally dozens of us
that have never touched Dynasty. So to me, this is best explained by like perceived just inherent talent gaps in these running backs. And what it kind of comes down to for me is I think Harvey is a totally good value in both Dynasty and best ball. I think Henderson is a totally good value in both Dynasty and best ball. I don't think Caleb Johnson's ADP in best ball makes a whole lot of sense. And I certainly don't think his ADP in Dynasty makes any sense being over RJ Harvey. So yeah, I don't understand why we would. I'm going to zero in on this one. I know you care way more about Henderson, but why for a late round 3 running back are we sticking to the pre-draft prior so hard when the year 1 projections are extremely far apart? Caleb Johnson is most likely has somewhat of a limited ceiling as a fantasy asset just in terms of his pass catching ability. I suppose you have like a longer time frame for the Caleb Johnson bet to work out, but there's also just a lot less role certainty for a player in his position, in my opinion. And we could be turning around at the end of 2025 and being like, oh wow, Caleb Johnson is it's like Trey, not like Trey Benson in that he doesn't play at all, but Trey Benson in that he's not productive as a rookie, and it's kind of like, this kind of sucked. What are we doing here? So that's where I'm at on all these guys. I think the Harvey Henderson, totally good picks in both formats. Johnson, bad, shouldn't be over Harvey in either format.
The Caleb Johnson thing is really tough for me to figure out. I feel like I'm getting pulled in so many different directions, like the scene in Night at the Museum where Attila the Hun is like dragging people around. Because
good movie.
On one hand, I feel like Caleb Johnson fits like several check boxes on like the boomer list that I find myself averse to, where it's like he's this big back from Iowa. He plays for the Steelers. They're a bunch of boomers. They're gonna want their boomer back. Jaylen Warren is a little socialist, nerdy little bitch, and he's never had a full workload, and he's just a creation of the spreadsheet socialists. So Caleb Johnson is going to come in there and get his 250 carries, and you're going to like it. That's kind of how I feel a lot of Caleb Johnson fans kind of are. And then that makes me like kind of averse. But at the same time, I kind of just think that they're going to end up getting paid off. Like, it doesn't make any sense in a vacuum that, one, he went at the end of round 3 and he's just being assumed to be the starter from like week 1. 2,
round 3 is just a number of people. The funniest, can I just say one of the funniest reasons I've seen for the Caleb Johnson round 3, it's that, well, he went in the round 3, but he went to a team that didn't even have a second round pick, or they would have taken him in round 2.
Oh, this is the Michael Carter round 4. This is the
like,
Jets actually had Michael Carter as a round 3 player on their board.
So we're doing a dance for Caleb Johnson strictly because he already looked like a Steeler for the jersey, maybe. And I was the Caleb Johnson guy on this podcast pre-draft, and I think I was still the highest on him post-draft. And I think his price is getting a little out of hand.
Well, this is the issue. It's like it just, the numbers don't make it make sense. He's a round 3 pick. Warren, like we said, in seasonal leagues, we're drafting him ahead of Ramondre and J.K. Dobbins. I don't know like what the expectation is for expected fantasy points for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. I haven't seen a case. It's going to be a fine backfield, but there's no reasonable case that they're going to be like a top 5 XFP backfield, right? Like they're currently one of the most invested in backfields in the whole NFL. There's not really a basis for that. They're projected to be a shitty team, a shitty offense.
Right.
So I think it must just be that like it's literally an ideological thing that like the Warren drafters and the Johnson drafters are two very different people, and they have two very different views of how this season is going to go. Their ADPs aren't tied together. It's just like two different people kind of doing their own thing. My issue is I'm somehow the circle of this Venn diagram. Like I have loved Jaylen Warren my whole life. I think if he was given the opportunity, he would legitimately do very well. I love Caleb Johnson too. Like a lot of the nerdy analytic people didn't like him, but he was my RB3 pre-draft. I think he rocks. I think he's going to get the opportunity because I think Arthur Smith is a boomer, and he is talking about how many touches he's going to give Caleb Johnson, and he's touching himself while he thinks about how many touches he's going to give Caleb Johnson. And I think that he's probably going to do very well in this scheme, in this offense. I just wish that I could get him at like a reasonable price. I don't know. It's very, very frustrating to me. So I think that's fine. I think the Harvey thing is fine. Henderson to me is the one that strikes me as just like way, way underpriced in seasonal leagues. I don't know what people think Ramondre Stevenson is. He was bad last year. He was on the verge of losing his job times to Antonio Gibson for fumbling too much. It's a new regime. I know Elliott Wolf is still there, who gave him the contract, but he has been defanged. He has no powers. It's Mike Vrabel who's running the show, and they immediately went in and invested a very early pick for a roster with a lot of holes in a running back. To me, it's made me
face off that we didn't go wide receiver at that pick. By the way, I was so upset. Yeah,
it's an offense with several holes, and they decided to prioritize Henderson at the 36th overall pick. The thought that they're not going to make him a focal point of their offense is crazy to me. I think he is already from day one the best playmaker on their offense, and like by a lot. And I think that's why they took him. I think they wanted to get the best offensive playmaker they could, and they decided that position was a running back instead of a wide receiver. Not necessarily how I would look at it, but I think that that's how they looked at it. And I genuinely am perplexed. There is so much optimism for Drake May in the best ball community. Like, I don't think his ADP is that egregiously low. People are excited about him, and they should be excited about him. I don't understand how that excitement doesn't carry over at all to the running game, especially when people are always talking about how much Mike Vrabel's going to run the damn ball. It's just perplexing to me. So I think that the prospect profile is being really underrated. I was on Pete Overzet's show yesterday. I think it released today. And I said TreVeyon Henderson was my number one player that I'm excited to draft in every best ball draft. I think he's really underrated in seasonal. I think he's fairly rated in Dynasty.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna be the anti-Patriots offense guy probably all year until I have reason to have
Now
hope,
they were
but-
going to run too much. Now that you don't even think they're going to run well.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think the offense is still going to be pretty bad. So they can run a lot, sure. That offensive line is garbage. So I'll be interested to see.
Fixed. It's fine. I got Will Campbell
It's
now.
fixed and it's fine.
This is me doing the duct tape over the cylinder of water.
This is the flex tape.
Yeah.
I think there's blind optimism for the Patriots. I really do. And I think a lot of that is because of Drake May and what I do or don't believe of him as a quarterback per se, or what I do or don't believe he'll scramble or design run or whatever. I don't know. But I think the Patriots offense is probably the most overdrafted in season-long formats from everything that I've been able to see in my one day of research today for this podcast. But in Dynasty,
how are they overdrafted? Like the first player off the board is Henderson in like round 6. How does that make the offense overdrafted? In what world?
I wouldn't draft him. That's why.
You just what? Is there any ADP where you would draft any Patriots player? Because I really do feel like they are very low right now.
Yeah, Diggs maybe. Diggs is probably somebody that I would look at.
There is no way
he goes like less than a 4 round after Henderson.
Yeah, if Diggs is going late enough, I'd consider him. He's actually somebody in Dynasty.
Is Diggs going to outscore Henderson straight up this year because they're going like right next to each other?
I didn't realize. See, I don't play redraft formats.
Diggs goes one round later.
To tell you, but Diggs is somebody that I'm actively trying to acquire in Dynasty as cheap as I can. Even
Why
though
are we trying to acquire the shitty washed 32-year-old with no ACL?
Because nobody else. Look, every other Patriots wide receiver sucks. Like, I'm sorry, but they suck.
Then maybe they'll throw back some passes to the running back.
75, 80.
Yes!
No,
Yes!
Jacob, absolutely not. Absolutely
Josh
not.
McDaniels.
Great. I await James White returning from retirement to come in.
You could trade me prime Antonio Brown for TreVeyon Henderson in week 13 after he's James White.
All right, let's not rehash that. That for anyone that doesn't know, that's the first trade Jacob and I ever did.
Here we go. Tom, without
league.
looking at the comments, do you want to guess the Vegas win total for the New England Patriots this year?
I think it's 6.5.
It is 8.5.
Tom, do you want to guess how many
They're gonna be
points
good.
per game? Do you want to guess how many points per game the Patriots are implied for by look at headlines this year?
21.5.
That was close. It's like 22.2, which is the same as like the Dallas Cowboys.
I think I'll
Here's
under.
some teams.
See
Here's
ya.
some teams with lower win totals than the New England Patriots: the Dallas Cowboys, the Atlanta Falcons, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Raiders, the Colts, the Panthers, the Jets, the Giants, the Browns, the Titans, the Saints. There are literally dozens of teams.
Yeah. It is the easiest schedule in the league, or among the easiest by opponent win total and all that. But hey, that's really good for running backs. So I'm with Jacob. I think Henderson's a great bet. I think Henderson's a great bet.
Under.
I have a hard time getting super overweight just because I'm drafting so much like Ken Walker and RJ Harvey and guys that go before him. But I do need to make it a priority to even out my exposures there and get more Henderson because I agree that he's too cheap.
Listen to this Patriots schedule, Tom. Like to be honest, when I saw the 8.5, my mind also did do like a what? But listen to this schedule: home to Raiders, home to Raiders, at Dolphins, home to Steelers, home to Panthers, at Bills. There's a sure loss. At Saints, at Titans, home to Browns, home to Falcons, at Bucks, home to Jets, at Bengals, home to Giants, home to Bills, at Ravens, at Jets, home to Dolphins. Like, there's a few rough ones there.
I'll take the under.
But, that is a lot of shit teams. Like, they got to play the Bills twice. Okay, that's tough. But they get the Dolphins twice. They get the Jets twice. They have to play at Tampa. But, overall, pretty soft division.
You get the rest of the NFC South.
Panthers. And they do have to play the AFC North, which is a little tough. But the Browns are still a part of that. They're going to be the worst team in the league. And then they get the Raiders as their, extra game. And then their other extra game is against Titans.
Giants, right?
So
and the Giants. Yes, yeah. Titans, Raiders, and Giants are there.
Do we want to make a bet on wins? The chat wants to bet. Do we want to? I'm going to take the under.
I'm not going to bet they're over on 8.5. I'm not betting.
Yeah, no, I'm not betting the over. But
so what's the line?
I will say the
you guys just went through that whole thing. Went through the thing, and you're like, oh yeah, and you're not going to take the over at 8.5. Fine,
no,
what 8?
I'm saying 8.5. Yeah, well, if you gave me 7.5, I would take the over. Sure.
Okay, I'll take the under.
All right.
Okay, I'll go over 7.5.
We'll take the under. We'll put $50 in the pot. You two can split it. Whatever. We'll pick our charity at the end of the year. I'll take the under. I think they're going to be terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Fucking over.
I will say this is.
I have more faith. I have more.
They got a better kicker. That's going to get them up to 6.
I have more.
Vrabel, that's at least one win. They got Diggs. That's another win. Henderson, if they're going to establish the run this year, that's definitely getting them up to 9. Fucking over.
Yeah.
That's literally Bill Simmons on the Goodwill Hunting rewatchables talking about why the New England Patriots are going to get 9 wins this year.
Yeah, I have more faith in the Dolphins bouncing back than I have the Patriots are actually good. So
I do just quickly want to say that, Bill Simmons aside, this is the first year I can remember where the Patriots beat and media at large has been lower on the team than Vegas, which is very odd to me. That is not usually how it goes.
Vegas is the only Vegas and the fantasy community are the only people that believe in Drake May. It's like Vegas knows what's up, and the fantasy community knows what's up. Everybody else is a bunch of fucking blind people, and they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out what's happening. Let's go Patriots.
All right,
we're back in the Patriots era. Everybody,
jeez Louise. I'm sorry, but there's a blind faith in Drake May. There really is. What
do you mean a blind faith? We watched him play.
He looked good
last year. He's just going to take off and run again till they tell him to stop running again. Stop getting absolutely smacked again. I don't know. I don't see it.
You talk out of both sides of your mouth with these Patriots. One, you're like, oh, we can't draft Drake May. He's not going to run enough. Oh,
no. That's not what I said.
He's going to run too much. He's going to get hurt.
Not what I said.
Oh, they're not going to pass enough. They're going to run the ball too much. Oh, I don't want to draft the running back.
No, putting words in my mouth. I said I wouldn't do it in season long. Never said Drake May wouldn't run enough. I said Drake May, as the team last year already told him to chill after he got popped in the head on the sideline, and they told him to chill.
They've been fired.
Yeah, not real.
The new team is in gear.
See, this is what I mean.
New team wants
enjoy being special assistant to the linebackers. Gerard Mayo.
You're saying that I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, and every time I bring up a point, you're just like,
I'm speaking out of one side of my mouth.
This is a community.
Here's this mouth.
You're just attaching.
Go Henderson. Go May. One side. It's all the same side.
But you'll just add on another narrative reason as to why any of the doubt is not viable.
It's one narrative reason.
Keep adding. You'll just keep adding.
Drake May is the truth, and he is the goodness from which all other good evolves.
The last thing I just want to add here,
right? It's like if Drake May is Jesus and Henderson is one of the valuable disciples, that's sort of the idea.
Yeah, I think you were already May-piled last year and you're just diving right back in. And even if I can tell you how this is going to go.
Well, last year
No,
he
hold
went
on.
up like a round and a half in ADP.
I already know how this is going to play out. If Drake May, for whatever reason, doesn't hit, Jacob is once again, a la Trevor Lawrence, going to stand up on this soapbox every year until it does happen. So Jacob can finally say,
you know who's hitting this year?
he was
Trevor
never-
Lawrence.
yeah, I love that you just
Fuck
keep
it
going
over.
back in every year. You just keep going back in every
fair
single
enough
year.
on
Trevor
Lawrence, but what do
Lawrence.
you mean going back in on Drake May?
I didn't say that about Drake May. I said that about Trevor Lawrence. Jeez,
my God.
you lawyers, man.
Drake
You're
May was like the
impossible.
QB 12 in his full games last year by fantasy points per game.
he was a
Drake May
success.
was
It a
very
successful
good.
year.
Bo Nix better. We can move on to running backs if you guys want, but Bo Nix was #better.
Let's talk about wide
Nix.
receivers,
Get out
please.
of my fucking face with Bo Nix, little check down merchant bitch.
Bo Nix #better. I don't make it up. He was better with a broken back. It just is what it is. It's just factual. Who do
Okay.
you got
And
next?
I know you like beta quarterbacks, but some of us still believe in alpha energy at the quarterback position. We like guys that are actually trying to throw the ball down the field instead of just hunting completions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll don't worry. I'll send you the Marvin Mims absolute piss missiles from last year. Drake May could never. Anyway, again, we can carry on.
Okay.
All right.
Let's move into some of these wide receivers.
Podcasting with a lawyer 101, by the way.
The first guy I really wanted to talk about in terms of seasonal versus dynasty ADP, because I think they've become increasingly disconnected over the last month or so, is Travis Hunter. So he's the wide receiver 30 right now on Underdog, and he's still showing as the wide receiver 15 in dynasty, most notably above Teteroa McMillan. My understanding is that even kind of most people in Dynasty are still going to value Hunter a little bit higher than Teteroa McMillan. I've never been of that opinion this entire offseason, but that is the consensus. So to me, I look at this and I'm like, well, this is sick. I get to take Travis Hunter in a seasonal format where the risk of he's one of the best corners in the league and doesn't play like 80% of the snaps on offense or whatever, it is contained into one single season. I get him even cheaper and I get access to the exact same upside as I would have to pay the 102 or the 103 equivalent for in Dynasty. I still have a bit of Hunter in Dynasty. I think his Dynasty ADP is also totally fine, but yeah, the redraft ADP doesn't make any sense to me now. It has only really gone down since the NFL draft, and it is entirely because, and this is like the next little, like, I guess, secret of the best ball community that we're unveiling on this show, is the best ball people are much more reactive to what the Coach Speak Index puts on Twitter. That is like straight up what it is. I mean, it's nothing against Coach Speak Index. I was on his show last week. It was really fun. We did a best ball draft.
Yeah,
he is
great.
just more embedded in the best ball community, which makes sense to me. That, of course, when the Jaguars move from, we love Travis Hunter and he's going to play a lot of offense, to, well, he's like, we're playing him more on offense now, but we think he's all set at corner. We think he's more natural there, or whatever the variation is that they're saying that week. As that gets more tilted toward defense in people's minds, Travis Hunter's ADP falls. Nothing has actually changed about the bet really since he was drafted, in my opinion. I have like a honestly way too long think piece about Travis Hunter that I wrote entirely to spite Scott Barrett that will be coming out at some point on fantasypoints.com.
Coward.
Good. Coward.
Yeah.
Coward.
Well,
Shame.
total
Shame.
coward.
Scott, you heard it.
Shame.
You heard it
Yeah,
here. You heard it right
Uses-
here.
Scott,
I'm gonna
you're
look.
lame.
I'll look right at you. All right, Scott. You get on this show, okay? You bring that ass here, because it's us versus you on Travis Hunter and this People VR. We're gonna be tagging in like tag team partners in a WWE tag match. Okay, it's gonna be ruthless. So don't be scared. Like you're now scared of Travis Hunter, Scott Barrett. We're calling you out.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah.
Scott famously betrayed everything he's ever believed in. Texted me. Probably assumed these were private. They're not. I'm gonna air them. He was like, he's like, Jamar Chase was the best receiver ever in my model, but I didn't draft enough of him. Brock Bowers was the best tight end ever. Scott, I didn't draft enough of him. Like, but I just don't know, man. Like maybe Travis Hunter's gonna play defense. Like, are they gonna give him screen passes if he's playing defense? Like, I'm a little baby. No, Scott, you're a loser. Believe in yourself. Believe in your model. Believe in your model more than yourself. Trust Travis Hunter. Get in on this.
Yeah, Scott sent me some version of that too, which is I guess I don't get it. And we're not to rehash like all the Travis Hunter analysis we've done on this program for the last 3 months, but to me, and this is nothing new from it, like beyond anything that Jacob has been covering on Thinking About Thinking too. If Travis Hunter is really, really good, it's going to be nearly impossible for them not to play him in at least close to a full-time snap share on offense. If he's not really good on offense, then yeah, maybe he's only like a 40 to 50% snap share type of guy, get some gadget plays, doesn't matter that much for fantasy. But that was going to happen whether he was good whether he was bad on an 80% route share or whether he was bad on a 40% route share. If you were told that Ted McMillan would be knocked down to a 40% route share if he wasn't as good as Xavier Legette over the first 2 months of the season, that shouldn't change how you rank Tetairoa McMillan at all, because his entire ranking and the entire reason that you would click a rookie that has a lot of uncertainty compared to other players, a much wider range of outcomes, is because you get disproportionately rewarded when they turn out to be really good, because the market bakes in some level of uncertainty. We don't know as much about this player. When they turn out really good, they're averaging 17 fantasy points per game in the second half of the season, backloaded production in the fantasy playoffs. There's no reason Travis Hunter can't do exactly that. He would be going right next to McMillan in redraft he was going right next to McMillan in redraft right after the NFL draft, when the coach speak vibes were slightly more positive on him playing a little more offense. So yeah, to me, he probably should be going, I don't know, in the late fourth round. He is sliding towards the late fifth now. I've started clicking him a lot more in best ball.
That's got him in the mid sixth today.
That's crazy.
I think, this one is one where I'll save like the Hunter evangelizing because I've done enough of it on this program. I think he's going to play a lot of wide receiver. I also think he's going to play a lot of corner. I think he's special and different. That being said, this one makes no sense. It should, if anything, it should be the opposite, I think, right? Like we should be less scared of the very specific downside about Travis Hunter is what if he plays a lot of cornerback, which is a one-of-a-kind downside scenario. That's a way more frightening downside scenario in Dynasty, where his base value is much higher, and where, frankly, I would say, like, this is not a thing to me where he's going to play more snaps by the years in total. That doesn't really make any sense. Like, I don't see why a 28-year-old Travis Hunter would have the better stamina to play 1,500 total snaps than a 22-year-old Travis Hunter, right? Like, if he's going to play full-time both ways or close to it, that's probably happening in his first couple of years in the NFL, more so than his 7th year in the NFL or his 8th year in the NFL. And to me, this rookie year is going to probably set the direction of what his career is going to look like. Like, he's either going to play a lot both ways, or he's going to play mostly offense, or he's going to play mostly defense. So, yeah, I think that all of this fear is not like totally crazy, but it should be way more baked in Dynasty, where you have a chance of just having like a very frustrating player, not to mention in a managed league where you have to guess week to week how much offense he's going to play. Whereas in best ball, you just draft him and you let the distribution of snaps work its way out. He's a great format fit for that reason. And if he's a massive bust, that obviously sucks, but it's way, way, way less damaging to whiff on a round 5 best ball pick than whatever it is, a round 3 or round 4 dynasty pick. So yeah, I think that all of this news should be impacting his dynasty price probably more than it has, and should be impacting his best ball price much less than it has.
Yeah, and not for nothing, just on a 5th round pick busting in redraft doesn't hurt you that much. Last year's Best Ball Mania winner drafted Isaiah Pacheco in round 5. That's a fun little fact for you. In like managed redraft, the expected fantasy points per game for the wide player drafted at wide receiver 30 over the last several seasons is about 11.2 fantasy points per game, which is just barely above what you're going to get off the waiver wire in like a relatively like home style league. So no, it doesn't matter if your round 5 pick busts in managed. It hurts a little more in best ball, but it's certainly not something you can overcome. So yeah, to me, like all the downside risk stuff should apply way more in Dynasty.
Yeah, I'll say I haven't drafted Hunter once in a startup. I'll say that. I think I've gotten Tet only once, and I think it's because Ryan made me at knife point. He wouldn't let me pass him up, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm with you guys there. I'm definitely Hampton over him now, especially with the recent news. Like we talked at length, Hunter 102 for like a long time, but I'm mostly in agreement with all you guys. The risk is totally on Dynasty, but you should still be willing to accept quite a bit of that. I'm not afraid of a 0. I've talked about that a lot on this show. I think the upside is still there. No reason to be terrified and running away. So we had that episode with Scott. And also keep in mind, we have fun here, right? First off, Scott, don't fire us. We love you. We're just baiting you to come back on the show. That's what the people want. Who do we got left?
Just a group of wide receivers. They're all similar ages. We have another group. We have a little group of rookies that Ryan grabbed too that we could talk about if we have time, which I think we do. The one that I picked out, he's a player that I've just been hyping every opportunity on this show, and every other show I go on. It's George Pickens, who's 24 years old, wide receiver 28 in seasonal leagues, wide receiver 32 in dynasty leagues. Compare that to Zay Flowers, who's the same age as Pickens. He goes 9 spots higher in dynasty than in seasonal leagues, where he goes after Pickens. Chris Olave, 2 years older than Pickens, or at least 1 year older than Pickens, maybe 1. He goes 10 spots earlier in dynasty, and he goes 6 spots behind Pickens in seasonal leagues. And Devonta Smith, who is 2 years older than George Pickens. He's actually 2 years older. And he goes 7 spots earlier in dynasty leagues, and goes just 1 spot ahead of Pickens in seasonal leagues. To me, I'm even in on Pickens at his seasonal price tag, but this just made me even more amped about him at his dynasty price tag, and a little bit wary of those other guys when you consider that the seasonal market is saying they're all going to be wide receiver 3s, and yet they carry a late first to a base first plus in dynasty value. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just pretty much with Jacob here in that I think all of those other wide receivers that are more expensive in dynasty, the Flowers, the Olaves, the Smiths, that those dynasty ADPs are just wrong to me. Like there's a big tier of like 20 wide receivers that kind of starts around where Zay Flowers, Devontae Smith get drafted and ends with like the fringe round 2 rookies pretty much, where it's like I don't think the value should be that wide between all of them. I think in Dynasty, people kind of have their favorites more and stick more to their favorites, like their favorite profiles, their favorite inherent players. And yeah, I would agree that the redraft market is more, it is going to be more close to correct and more instructive here in how you should view them.
Look, you want to know why George Pickens is lower in Dynasty? It's because everyone is concerned, rightfully, that any ball not thrown to him has a chance to be a fight night highlight reel with a fan, a coach, a teammate, or the opposing player. I'm one for patterns in life, and it is when the Steelers want to get rid of you at wide receiver, not a lot of light on the other side. Very few times has that worked out in history, especially if it's behavioral reasons. So I think that's why, because let's be honest, George Pickens has the opportunity to go two ways here. One, balls out and gets wide receiver 2 type money from a team like the Cowboys, whose owner, trashes his best players on his rosters and press conferences and has his son have to take over, which the hilarity of the Dallas Cowboys will never not be funny to me. Thankfully, not born a Cowboys fan. Shout out to, and I feel bad for everyone who was. But he has that opportunity, or he has the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of every other behavior problem at wide receiver that has been shipped out actively. They shipped them out so actively, they acquired another wide receiver and went, writing's on the wall, buddy, you're out of here, and shipped them off for draft picks. Didn't even wait for free agent, just see ya. So you've got the real possibility that this guy's just a UFC fighter, and I'm sitting there every week watching the QB school again, laughing and giggling every time he gets so distracted by how lazy George Pickens is on routes when he's not getting the ball. He doesn't give you quarterback discourse. Like, those are my favorite videos to watch from the Steelers last year. So that's why people in Dynasty, I think the bet is more in Dynasty that he is going to go the way of part 2 and not part 1. I want to see him succeed. Do not get me wrong. He's a value pick if he hits 100%. But I'm more willing to believe the history of the Steelers knowing when to let someone go. And I'm sorry. The draft night picture should have said everything we needed to know. The shiesty, the pose, the deadpan stare at the TV. I don't know. That everything you needed to know, man. I'm gonna go with he's going the other route, but that's why, if anyone was wondering, that's the actual reason. It's nothing to do with his production in that regard. We know he can produce, but it's everything else that drives his value down.
I get he's a bit of a head case.
A bit?
But well, he's not look, we just talked about, a drunk driver and whatever Rashi Rice did, vehicular something slaughter. I have no idea. He hasn't done anything criminal. He just seems like a bit of an asshole. That's all right. I'm a bit of an asshole.
NFL
and my dynasty value is going up, baby. So
you're getting older, buddy. I hate to tell you.
I empathize with George Pickens. That's true. I'm past the age apex. So I empathize with George. The big thing is I think that he is just going to get a contract extension for a lot of money from the Dallas Cowboys, probably this offseason after a successful season. And that will be a big boost to his dynasty value. If
I don't know.
Situation.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you hear what Jerry Jones had to say about all the players that he's paid money to today, though, Jacob?
Didn't want to sign CeeDee Lamb.
I mean, they did sign CeeDee Lamb.
But he didn't want to?
Fine, he'll get franchise tagged then or whatever else. I agree he's an annoying person. I just refute this whole idea of if the Steelers are selling you, enough already with the Steelers. The Steelers are the dumbest organization in the National Football League.
All right.
They're forever chasing going 9-8. I have no respect for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have no respect for Mike Tomlin. I don't care about what they think of George Pickens. I think that they were absolute goofballs trading away a really good player for a 3rd-round pick. So whatever you want to do, Pittsburgh, that's what you want to do.
Jacob really loves Deontay Johnson, though. That. Just remember, this is just a carryover from he loved Deontay Johnson, was mad about how they treated Deontay. Now we get it with George Pickens. I get it. I understand if you're pattern matching. I understand.
What if we're pattern matching with Emmanuel Sanders?
I think the ADPs are pattern matching is the problem. It's fine to. I think it was really fun to joke about every Steelers wide receiver being part of a CIA cover-up, torture regime on Twitter. The week that we watched Deontay go crazy. and we watched Pickens get really upset about the Metcalf trade. Like that was really fun. It was cool. I was down with that vibe. I was vibing when we were doing this. When it's actually reflected in ADPs, as if it's actually literally true that any Steelers wide receiver that gets traded away is automatically going to lose his mind, that's where I stop. That's where it's like, no, I would rather bet against the pattern matching there. And I would rather I would rather draft the guy based on what he does on the field.
But that
hasn't shown anything actually bad off the field that has actually impacted his life.
Agree with you there, but we also have to remember who's running NFL teams, and it's a bunch of uppity people that don't want hashtag troublemakers and are willing to sacrifice productive players for that reason. And that we have seen multiple times. So yes, there is a possibility that if he just continues downward his path, like, yeah, his value may never climb again. Not to what we're hoping for, to what we're seeing on the field. And he's like fine, but Emmanuel Sanders wasn't really let go for attitude and whatever. It was just they didn't want to pay him, as far as I remember, unless I'm not remembering correctly, which please let me know. But there is a difference there. But what I'm saying is there is a reason to be fearful of a guy who just may never put it all together, when we are just consistently hoping and hoping and hoping that he does one day finally truly actually break out. That's all I'm saying. That's why I think the ADP makes sense for Dynasty. That's all. I understand if you want to have him higher for redraft. I mean, we're joking. We're having a great time all the same, but there is a subtle difference to, we want to think coaches and GMs all think rationally the way that we want them to. The NFL consistently proves that they never will.
The team he's with now is a team that just traded for him, right? I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to love him.
They traded for Trey Lance.
Maybe they're not going to love him later, but they like him right now, and he is, by a massive margin, their second most talented player. So I don't think that there's like really any realistic doubt that he's going to have an opportunity this year. I get that there's downside with his personality profile and his lack of current long-term contract.
They traded
I acknowledge that.
They traded a third for Pickens, and they traded a 4th round pick for Trey Lance. So I'm not trusting.
Yeah, but I mean, do you not think Pickens? Like, do you think he's not going to play? Like,
I think he's going to play. I'm just more making fun of the fact that the Dallas Cowboys actively traded a 4th round pick.
They're a goofy organization, obviously. But I mean, Andrew, make a Pickens bet with me, please. I just his personality sucks. Like, there's no doubt about that. I probably wouldn't want to be friends.
Oh yeah, they also traded for Mingo.
I think I would find George Pickens to be annoying, but like his statistical profile has gotten better for each of the 3 years in his career, and it feels like people think it's gotten worse, and I just don't know how that has happened. Like, I thought he was so overrated after his rookie year, and now I feel like everybody thinks he is overrated, but his profile has gotten better. I just don't really get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But obviously I know that there's personality elements, but like on field, I don't think he's being like very accurately regarded.
Well, I mean, he scored 11.8. He scored 11.8 points per game on 14.5 expected. So I understand why people who talk about him being really loved have people saying that he's overrated the way he is talked about. But we'll see, right? Like that's what it comes down to, is we'll see. He's talked about like he scored, 14, 15 points per game already.
Well, he scored 14.5 expected, and that's what matters.
That's just as good.
I love those expected points per reception leagues, man. Let me know when we got more of those. I'm gonna fire those right up.
Thank you for the reminder that we need to do that for the subs in the Fantasy Points Discord this year. That was a Scott Barrett idea, to do a league that it actually gives points based on expected fantasy points.
I would like to do. I'll do a league that just is like the all virgin league, where we'll do points for expected points per game, for targets per route run, yards per route run, yards after contact per attempt, missed tackles forced. No points for touchdowns, obviously. No points for touchdowns. You don't get any points for that. You don't get any for actual yards. Only for advanced metrics.
I'll hard pass. I'd rather be in like a non PPR point per carry, start 4 running back league personally than that. But I digress. That it? I think we're good. We have a couple of questions that we can hit. We're gonna do Dynasty Q&A here right away when we come back on the other side of the break, and then we got 5 for 5 coming right up. So don't go anywhere. Not a lot of Dynasty questions here today, which, I mean, that's fine as well. But you can definitely get them in while we're going through them. Don't worry. We'll get to as many as we can. The Consigliere says Fields, Caleb, or A-Rich at cost. F, marry, kill.
Well, I mean, A-Rich barely has a cost, so that's not really that difficult. I guess I would say, like, because it's at cost, and I think Caleb is a bad pick at cost, and obviously costs by far the most, that would be the one I would kill. I guess I'll fuck A-Rich because it's like, you know, it barely costs anything anyway. Why not give it a spin in the sheets?
It's a low commitment fling with A-Rich. Yeah,
I'll have a low commitment fling.
That's like a
And I
McDonald's.
guess that unfortunately means I have to marry Justin Fields.
Yikes. Yeah.
It's not. I kind of backed myself into a corner on that one.
Yeah,
I was wondering when you were going to realize that you were left with marrying Justin Fields.
Justin Fields, does that mean I can marry Justin Fields now, and then get a divorce like a year later if he gets a more secure contract? And
get some alimony paid out. Yeah, I think
can I get a prenup?
Come out ahead
Justin
on this.
Fields? Can I get a prenup that says as soon as he enters round 4 of startups at any point in time, the prenup automatically triggers and he is divorced for 1 first-round pick?
Yeah. I'm never going to draft Anthony Richardson again at any time ever. So then I'll marry Caleb, and then I'd take Justin Fields out for a nice steak dinner. How about that, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, same answer as Jacob, pretty much for the same reasons. Yeah, you can't get anywhere near Caleb Williams in any sort of bedroom or romantic context at this ADP. So it is really just whether you're hitching yourself to Fields or A-Rich. And
I think,
yeah, man, I'm not the I can fix him type. Honestly, both of these are these are both I can fix him ass quarterbacks, but I'd say that A-Rich needs a little bit more fixing. So
this show's off the rails this week. That, like, maybe Lucas is the voice of reason, because this show is just completely spun out the entire time. This is how you know it's late in July. Like, we need training camp so bad.
Yeah.
Dynasty is my life. Mine too, brother. Asks, in the middle of a 12-team Superflex startup, he says, no QBs I left. I'm going to say no QBs I like left. I have Purdy and Mayfield. Was offered Tua 26-1, 27 first for Purdy and Burden. Do I take it?
I'm an easy yes.
So it's essentially
Purdy and Burden for two first.
Yeah. I'll take the Tua side, I guess. It feels gross though.
I like Tua at cost. I guess I'm not as afraid of Tua.
I think I'm probably still sitting pat with Purdy and Burden. I think Burden's going to be worth a 1, and then it's usually Tua and a 1 for Purdy. I would take Purdy.
Tom told me this morning that Burden's going to fucking bust and he's terrible and he's ass and that I should trade him away.
I said he's going to be worth the 1. I don't think he's going to produce like that, but you know the Dynasty community and wide receivers. I mean, you also gave me you gave me an equally long reason as to why you think Ben Johnson's like a magic word like that. The reasons you gave me are the reasons I think the Dynasty community will make Burden worth a first.
Well,
It's the same reason why Roma Dunze has carried insane overvalue for a while.
Or it could be the reason he actually produces this year and is
As
Then
the
he's
person
worth
uninvolved,
more than a first.
as the person uninvolved in this trade, you know where to come for the objective stuff.
I mean, it was in our league together this morning, Jacob. I traded away Burden and Tony Pollard for RJ Harvey and Adam Thielen.
I think I like the Burden and Pollard's side of that one.
See, this is like they all day today. These guys are trying to twist my words around and pin me into a corner with a take. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying my beliefs. I'm saying the Dynasty community's beliefs. All right, don't worry. I'm ready. I'm locked in for this show. I'm concentrated to fight back against these people trying to mix my words live on air. Not like Jacob here getting caught with my Javonte Williams ranking live. Papacino says, for both Jacob and Ryan, what's your biggest lesson you've learned from your foray and mastering of best ball?
Well, I definitely haven't mastered best ball, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Probably, biggest lesson you've learned from your foray of best ball. I'm interpreting this as like an applicable one to Dynasty. I know that's not actually in the question. That was just like the vibe I got of what he was asking. I'm trying to think. You know what? Actually, I think this is like probably the biggest one. It's just how few players really meaningfully shift the dials each and every season. I think when you're in Dynasty, it's very easy to get focused a ton on value and to get focused a ton on every individual player and trying to min-max your life. And in best ball, it's like at the end of the day, you know, there's so many players that you feel like you have a small win on or a small loss on. And then you look at the advance rates overall, you look at your teams week to week, and ultimately it just comes down to there's a handful of players each year that matter a shit ton, and how much of them do you have? And all the other players are kind of immaterial. And I think that is something applicable to every format.
Yeah, agree that that's applicable to every format. Also agree that I have definitely not mastered best ball. To me, I do think the biggest thing, and is maybe something we've like slowly discovered through talking through some of the guys on this episode, is that a market is a result of its inputs, if that makes sense. Like this might sound kind of obvious and like I'm not actually saying anything at all, but it is just the result of all the people that are participating in it. And when you have very differently minded people participating in a Dynasty market compared to a best ball market, you're going to get very different results. And sometimes it can shed light on the efficiency of either market. So like in Dynasty, as I've been kind of saying, I think we are much more prone to like cling to the priors, the pre-draft priors, or just the talent-based priors of a player. Whereas in best ball, I honestly think most best ball players from season to season that maybe aren't as sickeningly following the NFL year round as much as we are maybe a little bit too wooed by temporary situation, by whatever Ben Johnson last said in a press conference that they see on their Twitter feed. I think the best ball market can be overly reactive compared to the Dynasty market. And yeah, when I say market, I'm just meaning the literal people who are different people that play each. And that's something to keep in mind, because I think I will very often, when I'm giving takes or when I'm arguing against what I see as like consensus opinion, I just kind of imagine like this is the monolith of people online that I'm arguing against, that ran into this a lot with Roma Dunze this year, or whatever like take I have that is against the consensus at the time. It shouldn't be surprising to me at all that, oh, we flip over into best ball season and Roma Dunze has a totally reasonable ADP after we see his situation change, because the best ball people just care more about that. So yeah, the long rambling answer, but yeah, I guess like know your competition and know that they're different based on what format you're playing.
All fair. I've learned from not playing best ball that I save a lot more money not playing best ball. So that's what I've learned. John Atlas asks, when you are at the end of a startup draft, rounds 26 through 34, what positions, players, and archetypes are you looking to draft?
Any quarterback that'll put up points if they become a starter.
Yes.
I clicked Jameis Winston in the late rounds of a startup Tom and I are doing.
Yes.
And felt great about it.
Yep. Love that.
That's the biggest one, honestly. Or just like anyone that could give you like a usable week, like the totally old dusty tight end that you might need in a bye week or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like the time to kind of think about that.
Yep. Any running back on the 52, like that's another big one too, right? If there's any running back that might potentially be able to get a snap that late in a draft, I'm grabbing them. I'm staying away from the wide receivers mostly because just the hit rates on those guys is almost zero. So, and I know someone is going to go, well, what about this guy in this year? Great. But you can name the ones that did hit way faster than you could name all the ones that didn't. So I stay away from those wide receivers quite a bit. So definitely the running backs, definitely the quarterbacks, and whatever your 27th tight end that's probably going to sit on your bench till week 3, till you drop him for some other running back that we didn't think of. Rudy King wants to know, what is Penix worth in Superflex 10-man Dynasty? 4-point passing touchdowns. I have Drake London, but I don't think he's worth a first.
I agree. In Superflex 10 person with 4-point passing touchdowns, I would not put Penix as being worth a first. My rankings are assuming 6-point passing touchdowns and 12-person Dynasty. I have him worth exactly a base first, and I think he is definitely worth that. But yeah, he's really gets hammered in this scoring setting where he's a total statue. You're not getting the extra points for the passing touchdowns. And in 10-person, every single person in your league can, in theory, have 3 quarterbacks. So there's not really the same level of quarterback scarcity concern. If you're not scoring as a top 5, top 10 quarterback, you're not really putting that much value on the table in 10-person. And Penix is going to have a really hard time being more than a low-end QB1, given that he just never runs the ball at all.
I have some exact answers for you from our friends at Dynasty Daddy, and some of these trades are interesting. Got Michael Penix or Jalen Milroe at 26-1 and at 26-2.
Is this like specifically in 10 and 4, or is this just generally?
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Oh, yeah, give me the picks. Yeah.
James Cook straight up.
Yeah, also wild.
First time I'll pick James Cook in a trade. Look at that.
Penix in a second or Jordan Love in a third.
Yeah, Jordan Love. I don't really care about him in 10 team either.
Michael Penix and Charbonnet, or a 26-1 and a 26-2.
Picks.
That's what I mean.
I think people overestimate. I think people really underestimate how big of a difference 12 versus 10 makes.
Yeah, 100%.
I think quarterbacks. I'm here for valuing quarterbacks in 12-team Superflex. I think that they're really overvalued in 10-team in my experience. I think they're really, really overvalued in single quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. Papacino, not really a question, but a statement. I feel these talented handcuffs are almost overvalued, like Monty and Charbonnet in Dynasty. Yeah, the people that have them don't really want to let them go for anything because they don't really have a reason to. So in that regards, I'll say they're overvalued. But I feel like their ADP, like Monty's ADP, we talked about at great length. It's high. But guys like Charbonnet, you can generally pick up later. I don't really think they're overrated. I think if you're plugged into like the Dynasty community Twitter sphere, then yeah, you're going to see like the never wrong, only early types on people like Charbonnet. But I wouldn't necessarily say people like he's probably appropriately rated.
Doesn't Charbonnet go in the same round as like James Conner, or am I crazy? I thought Charbonnet's ADP was absolutely insane.
I think he's really overvalued. Yeah, he goes in the same round as Tracy, Etienne, Connor, and Swift. I think he's overvalued. I mean, he's one of the best handcuffs in the game, might even be the best. But like, yeah, it's especially in best ball, you're getting way more value.
Holy shit, RB32.
Right. So like in best ball, the difference between Charbonnet and like say Will Shipley is way more meaningful because Charbonnet is going to play every single game, even when Walker's healthy, he's going to have a role. And sometimes he's going to fall in the end zone or he'll catch a long screen pass, he'll get in your lineup. And that's a meaningful difference between him and a Shipley. But like in Dynasty, yeah, it's like if Ken Walker's active, you're never starting Zach Charbonnet. So he is fundamentally the same as like a Will Shipley for this year. And there's no reason why he should be that much more valued. I agree. Unless you can foresee a path to that running back getting a starting role, which I guess is possible if they let Walker go and then they start Charbonnet next year. But it's not, I would say it's not over 50% likely. Then yeah, you're getting an overvalued asset.
I thought Charbonnet was also on the last year of his contract, but yeah,
no, they got drafted in back-to-back years.
Right. Yeah, for the most part, I do think handcuffs are overly overvalued anyway, pretty much at all times, because we always assume we know which ones are going to hit, and we're so rarely right. So you're not wrong there. Aaron McLean asks, Dynasty PPR, which side do you take? Kyron, Tyreek Hill, and Nick Chubb for Breece Hall, T. Higgins, and Scatterbo. This is so easily Breece Hall and T. Higgins. I don't even know why somebody would make this deal. This is an insane deal. And we talked about Kyron on Market Report. I want him to just sign a contract already, so I just have to stop hearing about whatever late round running back is going to take his job by week 3. Just sign.
Stop just because he gets a contract?
Yeah.
I'm really hoping people just stop and just accept that Kyron Williams is going to exist, and you can hate it all you want, but they love him. And you have to just learn to accept that your Blake Corums are just not taking that job. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's an easy smash. And Hallen wants to know, finally, last question, thoughts on Venus Williams showing more longevity in 2025 than Tua? Well, she's the GOAT. She's unreal. So not surprising. Far less head trauma. So
Tua is proof that I'll get in on any player at the right cost. I mean, I can't think of a player I've said more mean things about online than Tua Tagovailoa, but I could not be more in on Tua in Dynasty at his current cost.
Helen, is this coming? Are you making a alternate YouTube account as well for 5 for 5, like you made an alternate Twitter account? I saw that. I caught that. That's going to do it for Dynasty Q&A. Podcast listeners, you've asked for it. We'll give it to you one more time. 5 for 5 will be available on podcast formats again today. So sit tight. We got the best game in fantasy football coming right up. So as you can see, I've definitely won this game for this year. I will be hosting next year, so I can't wait to somehow shoehorn a fullback comment or question into every single week just to infuriate everyone who is anti-fullback. I have 12 wins on the year. Obviously impossible for anyone to catch me, but we'll do some fun stuff here down the line. We're playing for pride. Ryan Heath, our crash out king, still sitting at 2. Our man of the people, Lucas Gilbert, sitting at 2.5. And the gremlins in the chat also have 2. Let's see what Jacob has cooked up for us this week.
All right. It's going to be one of Ryan's favorite subjects. Numbers. Players' numbers.
Oh, today, geography.
Today is July 22nd. And so every player today, at some point, players change numbers. So I'm not going to say that they always had this number at all times. But at some point, every one of these players either wore 2 or 22 in the National Football League. Ryan is upset.
What the fuck? I don't think I could name it. Gun to my head, could I name if I had to name one player that wears the number 2 or 22, and if I am wrong, I get shot in the head. I don't think I could do it.
You could. I could go right now. And none of these players, not a single one of these players is current. But so I'm not giving any answers away. But DJ Moore wears 2. Derrick Henry wears 22.
I could never have told you that.
Shaheed.
I could never have told you this. I would.
This seems unlikely. You watch football, right?
Yes, I watch football, but I'm not paying attention to.
Do you have a number column in your little spreadsheet? Do you have a little column?
I don't. I got to add that, I guess. Yeah, the only numbers I care about are the targets per route run and the ones that are giving me points in my advanced stats fake fantasy league that we're going to start. I don't care about the ones on the jersey.
Ryan Heath is anti-drip in terms of jersey pride, and it shows. It shows.
Unless a player's number is like in their nickname or something,
Oh my God.
it's rough. Yeah.
You are a boomer.
What NFL player has the Twitter account at Showtime33?
I have no idea.
Is that Aaron Jones?
That's correct.
Did I get a bonus point? Like, that was a pretty quick.
No, if Ryan had got it right, he would have.
I don't think you need the help. Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
I do
Helen
just
also-
last
Helen
last
also
like
logged in
thing
on Aaron Jones' Twitter account.
last thing before we start this, I do want to say I have a real life buddy I went to college with who knows literally every number in the National Football League. He knows every player's number. We used to sit. I will not be phoning him for this, but we used to just sit around, and I would quiz him on numbers, and he would quiz me on like who is the RB3 and the RB4 on the Chiefs roster right now, and it would like amaze him that I would know all the depth charts. So it's just
get him on.
different things that we know.
I'll call Howland to be on my team, and then you can call your homie.
To be clear, obviously, there's going to be more to these clues than just me letting you know if they were 2 or 22. So there's more for you to grab onto. But yes, every player will have at some point in their NFL career worn 2 or 22. Okay.
All right.
This player played for 5 teams between college and the pros and wore a different number on each team.
No clue. Pass.
I will also pass.
All right. By the way, I'm keeping the chat rule we had last week, which is that I will not let you know if the chat got it or not. So if the chat had got it, they would have just gotten 5 points, but the chat did not get it. So we are moving on to clue number 2. All right. This player had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
It's a very specific number.
It's
like not enough
round number.
I mean, the 6 is a very specific number. Oh. It's like not enough that people will cite it in arguments about how great he is, but it's like enough that it's noteworthy.
It's a nothing from me.
Yeah, same.
Okay, you're still guessing nothing. All right. This player had a then career low 434 receiving yards in his first season wearing number 2.
Damn, that must have been what did it, huh?
Never go single digits, bro.
Man. In his first year wearing number 2. Is Julio Jones?
That's correct. Julio Jones for 3 points.
Yeah, that
was gettable.
Titans switched to number 2. Titans.
Yeah, Ryan got unlucky. I think you would have got on the next clue. We would have had a Royal Tenenbaums clue. It was me and this player were down by the schoolyard in a song which features prominently in one of my favorite movies, The Royal Tenenbaums. I don't know if you're a Wes Anderson head. My guess was yes, but maybe I'm wrong.
No idea.
Unfortunate. All right.
Over my head.
All right. Shout out to Tom. That is like still one of the sadder images in NFL history to me is Julio Jones wearing number 2 on the Tennessee Titans.
But he also secured you the 101 in the home league with that insane catch on the sidelines that same season.
That is true. Anyone want to play what number did Julio wear on each of his teams? Tom, I'll give you an extra point if you can get all 5.
I don't got
Ryan,
it.
I'll give you an extra 3 points if you can get all 5.
Julio. He was 11 at one point. Yeah.
You want to tell us what point he was 11, Ryan?
He was 11 for most of his career on the Falcons, right?
Well,
yes, the Atlanta Falcons. Correct.
He was 80. Can I guess? He was 80 on the Eagles.
That's correct.
2 on the Titans.
Yeah.
Obviously 11 on the Falcons.
Yeah.
I know he was number 6 on the Bucks. but
Yeah.
I don't know the last one.
Yeah, the clue is in college or the pros. So he was number 8 at Alabama.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking just NFL.
No,
But
yeah,
I-
it was 5 different teams between college and the pros. So Alabama number 8 was the 5th one. All right. Either way, you get 3 points. 3 points for Tom, 0 for Heath, 0 for the chat. The chat, I don't even think they got there before you said it. So you got that one all on your lonesome. All right.
What does that fucking mean? All of
Well,
my lonesome,
sometimes
like there's a question.
No. All right. Maybe the tipple doth protest too much, but no, I just meant that normally. Oftentimes, I like to make mention if the chat gets it on the same clue.
I know. I'm
but that
just
did not
busting chops out here.
All right.
Chops.
If you read a mock draft in February, March, or even April of his draft year,
Nope.
you'd have more than likely expected him to go in the top 10. So it was quite surprising when he was drafted 48th overall.
Malik Willis. Oh no, he was later than that. But
Incorrect, and you did not retract it in time. I've accepted your guess.
It's
and
fine.
marked it
Yeah.
Incorrect. But he didn't. Wear 2? I think he wore. Did he wear 2?
I feel like he did
Yeah,
actually.
he does wear 2. Yeah. Oh, he wore 7 on Tennessee, but he's 2 on Green Bay.
This is gonna be something like a Le'Veon Bell.
It is not Le'Veon Bell. And we got nothing in the chat. Okay. Mel Kiper promised to retire if this player didn't become successful in the NFL. Mel, we are still waiting.
I feel like this applies to more players than you would think.
No, this is gonna be some terrible quarterback that fell.
Yeah, it's like on the tip of my tongue, but like, oh god. Was it Brandon Whedon?
Incorrect.
No,
Or
he
number
was
3, I
he was
believe.
a first round quarterback.
Oh, I think I know it.
This is gonna be something stupid like Panthers pick. I don't know. I want to say like Jimmy Clausen.
That time you were too late. You did not beat the buzzer this time. But it is Jimmy Clausen.
I knew it was gonna be something. I knew it was gonna be something stupid.
I will say Jason Wright almost certainly got it off of Clue 1. It just didn't show up until I'd already read Clue 2 because of the lag.
Yeah.
But he does get 4 points on this one for the
I
chat.
wasn't confident.
So especially since I'm pretty sure Jason got it off Clue 1, I want it to be as strict as possible with the buzzer there. Chat, you guys get the points. You guys, I'll give you 4 though.
Good job.
I'm not giving you 5. All right.
Good job, chat. I wasn't confident.
I'm not up on my Mel Kiper lore as much as I should be.
Very fun number lore, of course, is Jimmy Clausen went in round 2, wore number 2, got replaced by Cam Newton, who of course went number 1, wore number 1, but wore number 2 in college.
Yeah.
Damn.
All
right, and Ryan's
job,
like,
chat.
cool, bro.
Yeah, that's a cool story.
All right, 4-3-0. Yeah. Moving on to the next player on the list.
Hold on. First off, do you know how hard it is to go through the memory banks of every terrible quarterback Mel Kiper has loved? Like, that takes a long time to run through the brain on how many times he's messed us up. Now we get to do the same thing with Shedeur. So
I remember the Jimmy
I almost said
Deshaun.
Like my guess that I thought it was Deshaun Kaiser. That was going to be my next guess.
Oh, Kaiser would have been a good one.
Did not even have Jimmy Clausen.
Yep.
All right.
Kaiser was going to be a good one.
This player wore 22 in college at a historic program where he became just one of 4 running backs to that point to amass 3,000 career rushing yards. He also set school records for kick return yards, all-purpose yards, and rush yards in a single game.
This is Jonathan Taylor.
Incorrect.
I'll pass. Let's get an NFL clue next.
All right. I'm going to give an extra 5 or 10 seconds to chat here because you guys went so quick. If anyone wants to do a quick poll. But I'm not seeing anything. I'm seeing incorrect guesses in the chat. All right. That's 3 guesses in the chat. None of those are correct. So we're going to move on. Okay. If you spent much time in a mall in the 2000s, you probably saw a 2-word chain in the food court. The first word of that chain is a color, and the second is this player's first name.
Fuck.
If you spent much time in a mall in the 2000s, you probably saw a 2-word food chain or 2-word chain in the food court. The first word of that chain is a color, and the second is this player's first name.
God, I think I know it, but I'm gonna give it to Tom if I'm wrong. Is it Julius Randle?
That is a basketball player.
Oh God, wait, what's the football version? Wait.
Tom, you got anything?
They were
for me?
relevant at like the same time.
Oh my God. Is this Julius Jones?
Yes, it's Julius Jones.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You also tipped off the chat. As soon as you said Julius Randle, the chat started saying Julius Jones too. You did a lot of help for everybody.
Orange Julius, baby.
I knew that was about to happen, but whatever.
Yeah.
You even, to be fair, you said it, but that's a good guess. You did.
No, it's not. That was a basketball player. That is not a good guess.
I'm trying to be nice.
Guess.
I'm trying to be nice because
you know what happened is I had who I had in my head. I had Joseph Randle in my head, and I was thinking, and I jumped to Julius Randle.
That's like Joseph Randle, also a Cowboys running back. So you're right in the same wheelhouse.
Yep.
Clearly, your mind is putting things together. Fun fact, of course, Julius Randle. Why did he not wear 22 on the Cowboys? Because he was taking over for Emmitt Smith, who was, of course, probably the best player to ever wear 22. Julius Jones got signed by the Seahawks, which is when he returned to his college 22. All right. Shout out Julius Jones. Weirdly, one of my favorite, pretty irrelevant players.
Matted legend Julius Jones, because he was always
he
super
used to have
fast.
The future star icon back on Madden 2006.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Center of gravity might be overrated if you paid attention to this running back's career, which featured 9 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards from scrimmage while standing 6'2".
DeMarco Murray?
Incorrect, but also a tall running back.
This should give me an advantage with the spreadsheet heights. 74-inch running back. Yeah, I'll pass.
Bad decision to pass because 5 points of the chat. Matt Forte, Jason Wright for 5 points.
Good for you guys.
Matt Forte is a good guess.
Yeah, wore 22. Also played at Tulane, 6'2".
Did DeMarco Murray wear
all over his profile?
DeMarco Murray didn't wear
9 for Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know what he wore for the Eagles.
I think he wore the same number all the time. Damn.
Yeah, was it always 29? Yeah, he wore 29
I think
Eagles,
he did.
And he wore 29 for the Titans, and he wore 7 in college.
All right, good job, chat.
All right, absolute banger from Jason.
I'm trying to fire some guesses off. But
and Matt Forte, one of my favorites. All right, so chat is at 9 points. Tom is at 7 points. Ryan, time to lock in, brother. You got to get this on the first clue. 0 points. Okay. In 2012, this player rushed for 1,263 yards and 12 touchdowns on 290 carries. Almost impossibly, with that level of volume, he had just 6 receptions.
$2012?
Yeah.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, say the line again.
Okay, say the line, Bart.
Stephen Ridley.
I don't need to say it again. It is Stephen Ridley. That's correct.
No receptions. It's Stephen Ridley.
It is Stephen Ridley. Congratulations, Thomas Tipple. Chat had not yet gotten to Stephen Ridley. And Tom, once again, a champion. Shout out to Stephen Ridley. Ryan,
the most
I knew
absurd.
I was wrong with the numbers. I thought I could get you back with the final question, New England Patriot, but
Can I admit I asked for it again purely to stall for time. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, no, he had 82 speed in Madden. but like always had the truck stick ability. And then he fell off the face of the planet. Was like never seen again.
Yeah, I was about to guess like Marshawn Lynch or something stupid. So you had my number regardless.
Let's see if chat got that
We
one.
have almost gotten through
TJ
every
Yeldon.
2000s Patriots running back on 5 for 5. We've done Ridley. We've done Vereen. We've done I think
Alfred-
we've done Lawrence Maroney.
We have not done
definitely
Lawrence Maroney.
Ben
No.
Jarvis,
Why not?
Green Ellis. Ben
Oh, we
Jarvis,
definitely
Green
did
Ellis.
Ben
We
Jarvis,
did.
Green
We
Ellis.
did Green Ellis.
We did Mike Gillisley. We for sure did Mike Gillisley.
Yes.
Corey
Remember
Dillon.
that.
Corey Dillon's
Might
been
have done
done
Corey
on this.
Dillon. Yeah,
I have no
Corey
excuses
And I'm
on
pretty sure
Gillisley or Dillon.
LeGarrette Blunt is another one.
Yeah,
that
we've
we did
done
as well.
Blunt.
So
Yeah.
you're right. But Alfred Morris, I'm looking at chat now. Good guess on Alfred Morris.
You are 46.
Oh, we need Shane Vereen. Yeah, we need a Vereen question in here.
But maybe not.
GP Tipple, that might be the new name. That might be. Look, I got El Nostradamus from another Discord when I predicted the Jameson Williams suspension and his value dropping, and I've done it ever since. GP Tipple is pretty good. That might be a good one.
People would guess Alfred Morris. He has like the most aesthetically displeasing running back number of all time. Like,
46.
I will never forget that ugly fucking 46 on
46. Best celebration though. Alfred
Yeah.
Morris is the whole thing. Amazing, phenomenal.
I love Alfred Morris. but
We got a
he
Jerome
looks
Bettis
fucking
guess.
ridiculous. At
I
40.
like that.
Ryan probably liked it. He was like, "Oh, good, 46, cool."
Yeah, very cool.
CMC.
Seems like a number that could be on a jersey.
We're having a
Come
look.
on, man. How believe in something?
This is good. Thomas Jones' brother, running back at Notre Dame, and I think Cowboys. You were
Yeah.
right there, man. You were right there. Also, shout out. Almost said Felix Jones. Won't lie to you. Won't lie to you.
Speaking of like elite aesthetics, and the mid 2000s Dallas Cowboys, the Marion Barber like rubber arm tape.
R.I.P.
That was a
R.I.P.
gun who had drip. That was
Yeah.
an absolute drip lord.
Rest
I
in
think
peace
I
to
think I'm
Legend
just
Marion
I think
Barber.
I'm just less vain than everybody else in the football industry. I don't give a
Deion
fuck
Lewis.
how a number looks. I don't give a fuck how a player looks when he has the arm tape. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Kamara's
I don't give a clearly you see how I dress myself. I don't give a fuck how I look. All of this kind of tracks. Like I care about numbers in terms of what number I wore when I was playing sports in like a superstitious way.
Okay,
I
what
didn't
was your
care
number?
about how it looked. I didn't want to have the coolest looking one for when my picture got taken in
what
the
was your
school
number?
newspaper. That
What was
wasn't.
your number?
I wore number 10 all the time for everything.
Okay. My
Okay.
But
football.
it was just because that
I
was
thought you were
always
going to
my
be
number.
like 74 or something.
No, that was just always my number. It was a superstition thing. It wasn't like, oh, I think it looks the best.
Hey, Hallen, this is a Nirvana shirt. Nirvana, whatever.
Yeah, they're not
In utero.
they're not rocking the gold, all right, like some of us do on this program. I'm just saying. So 10's a good number. 10 was my running back number. I did wear 37 for 1 year when Dion came back. My baseball number is and always has been 27, which is the best baseball number that exists, especially for power hitters. My soccer number was also, I believe, number 10. So there you go.
I was
Look,
16.
16 is a good number. 16 is a good number. I mean, we've played baseball together, Jake. When have I ever
gross.
not worn
16?
27?
That looks like shit. I can't believe you would wear that, Jacob, on your body, unironically. Wow. That's terrible. Why would you even do that?
Oh, get roasted.
For real, 2 reasons. One, my birthday is February 8th, 97. 2 times 8 equals 16. 9 plus 7 equals 16. Also,
D-Walk-
it's Peyton Manning's college number.
D-Rock wants to know if you can wear number 10 in math class.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh,
It's
yeah.
over!
Oh, yeah.
It's over!
Jeez.
I mean, I probably literally did wear number 10 in math class a lot. Like, we had to wear our jerseys like during the school day or whatever. I don't know if that's a thing you guys did in Canada, but
I like you guys. Oh, I forgot to turn the comments back on. I only wore 37 because Deion Sanders came out of retirement at 37 years old and wore number 37 on the Ravens. All right. That's the only reason. I also agree that is a god awful
The
number.
chat does start with +1 next week in 5 for 5 for just like reaching into Ryan's body and stealing his soul.
Yeah, that was insane. I'm not even going to cut a promo for winning because you've done it. That was the promo to be cut.
Boom, roasted.
That's going to do it for our show this week. Kind of went off the rails a little bit today. Look, we like to have fun here, and we hope that you guys do too. We don't take ourselves that seriously. We hope you guys don't take us that seriously in that regard. We will, however, be trying to get Scott Barrett back on the program before the season starts to officially put a hat on the Travis Hunter debate once and for all. We are a podcast of the people. We would not be here if it weren't for all of you, and that's just factual each and every week, and our numbers reflect that. We are setting our own records each and every single month. Is because you guys are doing a phenomenal job hitting that like, hitting the subscribe, leaving comments. We'll highlight the best comments next week here. And before we tap out, I just want to shout out an absolute icon that we lost today in Ozzy Osbourne, who my entire time growing up was just one of the most phenomenal entertainers that I had ever seen. From the only reality TV show that I've truly ever loved to non-stop musical inspiration, and just he was out there, but definitely somebody that provided a ton of memories for a lot of people. And one of my favorite quotes was him stating, "I'm about caring, I'm about people, and I'm about entertaining people. I'm a family man." And that kind of hits with everything that we do here on this program. We are for the people, and we are here for entertainment. But again, we always say check in on your loved ones, even if you're not sure that they need it. So shout out Ozzy, shout out to all of you. And I need you all to remember that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose, that your best days are always spent like Ryan, tilting over anybody having fun about what they wear. We'll see you guys next week.
What?
Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.